We've got some huge new discounts on PlayStation games right now, up to 92% off. And I have picked 15 of the best deals out there. With that said, click on that subscribe button and let's get started. I'm going to kick things off with a bit of a hidden gem. Raji, an ancient epic, is 75% off right now for $6.24. This one is genuinely slept on by a lot of people, and I really think it deserves more attention than it gets. You play as a young girl who gets chosen by the gods to fight back against a demon invasion, and the whole thing is wrapped in this beautiful Indian mythology setting that you almost never see in games. The combat is satisfying, the art style is gorgeous, and the story actually keeps you engaged. For $6, this is an easy recommendation, I think. Then we have one of the most popular adventure games, Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Trilogy, 80% off for around $10. This is genuinely one of the best deals on the entire list. You are getting all three modern Tomb Raider games in one package. The 2013 reboot, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That is a massive amount of content covering Lara's whole origin story arc. Each game improves on the last, and together they probably give you well over 60 hours of gameplay. For $10, this is just an insane amount of value. Another collection that we have is Life is Strange Remastered Collection, which is 80% off for $8. And if you have never played Life is Strange before, this is actually a perfect place to start. You get both the original Life is Strange and Before the Storm remastered with updated visuals and improved facial animations. These are story-driven games where your choices actually shape how everything plays out. The writing is really good, the characters feel genuine, and the emotional moments hit harder than you would expect from a game. If you are into narrative games at all, this is a steal for $8. Then we got Need for Speed Heat, 90% off for $6. And honestly, this is one of the better Need for Speed games in recent memory, so seeing it this cheap is pretty great. The whole setup is you race legally during the day to earn money, then hit illegal street races at night for reputation. The risk and reward system between day and night actually gives the game a cool tension to it. The car customization is deep, the map is fun to drive around, and it just feels like a proper arcade racer. For this price, if you enjoy racing games, this is an easy grab. Next up, we got this action-packed fighting game, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is 80% off at $8 right now. And look, this one had a rough launch back when it came out. People were not happy about it. But at this price, the conversation completely changes. It is still a fast and chaotic fighting game with a huge roster mixing Marvel and Capcom characters together. The gameplay itself is actually really fun once you get into it. So yeah, if you enjoy fighting games at all, this is worth picking up just to mess around with. Then we got a couple of really awesome Far Cry games, starting with Far Cry Primal, which is currently 85% off for $4.49. This is probably the most unique entry in the whole Far Cry series, and I think it is honestly underrated. Instead of guns and vehicles, you are in the Stone Age. You are taming animals, using spears and bows, and just trying to survive in this brutal, prehistoric world. It uses the Far Cry open-world formula, but the setting makes it feel completely different. If you burned out on the regular Far Cry games, this one is actually a refreshing change. We also got Far Cry 5 on sale, 85% off for $9. This is probably the most mainstream entry in the series, and for a lot of people it is their favorite one. You are in rural Montana taking down a doomsday cult that has taken over the whole county. The open world is massive, there is a ton of stuff to do, and you can play through a big chunk of it in co-op with a friend, which makes it even better. The story has some genuinely interesting moments, and the gunplay just feels good throughout. Then we got Shenmue 1 and 2 together, 85% off for $4.49. Now these games are old, and they do feel old. I want to be upfront about that. But they are also genuinely important games in the history of the medium. Shenmue basically invented the open-world formula that games like GTA built on later. You are investigating your father's murder in this very slow, very detailed recreation of 1980s Japan. You talk to people, follow leads, work a forklift job, collect capsule toys. It sounds weird, but there is something really absorbing about it. So if you are into gaming history or just want something totally different, this is worth experiencing. Another collection that we have on this list is Middle-earth Shadow Bundle, which is right now 90% off for $7. This is another incredible value because you are getting both Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War together. Shadow of Mordor is what introduced the Nemesis system, which is this mechanic where the orc enemies remember you, get promoted, hold grudges, and actually react to your history with them. It makes every playthrough feel personal in a way that most games just do not do. Shadow of War expanded everything and made it even bigger. 2 full games set in the Lord of the Rings world for this price is just genuinely hard to pass up. Then we got this pretty awesome detective adventure game called The Sinking City at 90% off for $4.99. This detective game is set in a flooded 1920s city that is heavily inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, and honestly, it nails that creepy atmosphere really well. You are a private investigator looking into the mysterious flooding and the madness that has been spreading through the population. You actually have to do real detective work, gathering clues and piecing together cases without the game holding your hand the whole time. The world feels genuinely unsettling, and if you are into mystery games with a horror edge to them, this is a great pickup. Then we got Broforce, 80% off for just $3. And this one is just pure fun. There's not much more to say about it. It is an action-packed, side-scrolling action game where every character is a parody of a classic action movie hero. You got Brobocop, Rambro, Ellen Ripbro, the whole crew. Everything is destructible, the levels are constantly exploding, and it is absolutely hilarious to play, especially with friends in co-op. This is the kind of game you just throw on when you want to have a good time without thinking too hard. Then we have this game called Blackguards 2, and this one is just straight-up ridiculous value. It is 90% off for only 59 cents, like less than $1 for a full turn-based strategy RPG. Honestly, I haven't tried this game myself, but I've heard it's good. This is a dark fantasy tactics game where every decision in combat actually matters. You are managing a squad, working around the terrain, and thinking through every move. It is not the flashiest game ever made, but for 59 cents, there is genuinely no reason not to grab it if you are even slightly into the genre. Alright, then we got Mad Max, 75% off for $5. This game came out the same week as The Witcher 3 back in 2015, which is probably the worst timing in gaming history, so a lot of people just missed it completely. But it is actually a really solid open-world game. You are cruising through this massive post-apocalyptic wasteland, upgrading your car, getting into brutal hand-to-hand combat, and taking down enemy camps. The car combat especially is really satisfying, and the world has this great gritty atmosphere to it. Then we got Evil West, 75% off for $15. Now yes, this one is pushing past the $10 mark, but I still think it is worth mentioning because the discount is real and the game is genuinely a lot of fun. You are basically a Wild West monster hunter taking on vampires and other creatures with a mix of gunplay and brawler-style combat. It feels like someone combined a third-person shooter with a beat-em-up, and it just works really well. It is not trying to be anything deep, it just wants you to have a blast the whole way through, and it succeeds at that. If the price is within your budget, this one is worth it. And then we have Like a Dragon Ishin, 80% off for $12. Another one slightly over 10, but the value here is just too good not to talk about. This is a spin-off set in feudal Japan during the Bakumatsu period, and it takes the Like a Dragon formula and drops it into this incredible historical setting. You still get that same mix of serious dramatic storytelling and completely absurd side content that the series is known for. The combat feels great, the story is genuinely engaging, and if you are a fan of the series, this is a must-buy. And even if you have never played a Like a Dragon game before, this is actually a pretty accessible entry point.